Popular Argentine musician posted a brief video online after something disturbing happened to her at a friend's house. While she was sitting by herself in the backyard, she suddenly felt what she described as a hand gripping her shoulder. Caught off guard, she jumped to her feet and spun around to find out who had touched her, but there was absolutely nobody behind her. Nothing seems out of the ordinary at first glance, but freeze the footage at precisely the right frame, and you can make out what looks like a set of oddly warped fingers appearing for just a split second, making the whole thing that much harder to explain. A self-described paranormal investigator decided to look into claims surrounding a location known as Cottage 621, a reportedly haunted bed and breakfast situated in Yorktown, New York. Strange and unsettling things have apparently been happening inside this property for some time. With his team already out documenting eerie shadows drifting around the grounds, this investigator wanted to find out for himself what was really going on, so he positioned a static camera in one of the hallways and simply let it record. He had absolutely no idea what that camera was about to pick up. What he ended up capturing is genuinely disturbing. As the footage focuses down the hallway, a dark shape gradually materializes, a shadow bearing an unmistakable resemblance to a small child. But here's what makes it so unnerving. Unlike any ordinary shadow, this one wasn't projected flat against a surface. It appeared to be standing independently, right there in the middle of the hallway. Even the investigator himself struggled to process what his own equipment had recorded, and honestly, watching it back, I completely understand why. So is this legitimate evidence of a ghostly child haunting Cottage 621? Or is there a more rational explanation lurking behind it all? When unusual activity begins occurring in your home, most people search for a rational explanation first. For Sergio, that comfort faded almost instantly. One uneventful evening, he was sitting alone watching YouTube when he picked up the sound of a dog whining somewhere within the house. The unsettling part was undeniable. Sergio had no dog. Alarmed, he pulled out his phone and started recording. Within seconds, something deeply disturbing unfolded.
Buenas noches amigos, les habla su amigo Trovadoc. En videos previos ya les había comentado que han estado pasando fenómenos extraños aquí en la casa los últimos meses. De hecho, los perros están muy acelerados ahorita porque se escucharon ruidos por el rumbo de la sala. Y aproveché ahorita para grabar a ver si captamos algo. Se ha escuchado movimiento. Hemos visto una silueta un par de veces y pues bueno, vamos a ver qué logramos y si logramos captar algo. Ay, cabrón. Aquí, como ven, no hay nada. Vamos a grabar donde estaban escuchando los ruidos. Debo de admitir que estoy un poco nervioso. Ahí se puede escuchar el perro, que está un poquito alterado. No se ve muy bien. No sé qué es lo que esté pasando. Lo que se cayó fue un muñequito de Santa Claus de los adornos de Navidad. Previo a esto, donde hemos visto la silueta pasar, puse talco para ver si lográbamos captar alguna huella. Ahorita voy a prender la luz a ver si se ve algo. Estos ruidos son ya sumamente frecuentes. Estas huellas evidentemente no estaban. Hace como una hora que puse el talco y van más o menos al rumbo donde está el Santa Claus que se cayó. Que voy a parar el video porque voy a salir de la casa para tratar de ver que no haya nadie, que no se... Estoy un poco nervioso, compañeros, pero bueno, me despido de ustedes. No olviden suscribirse al canal. A caramba, los saluda su amigo Trovadoc y denle dedito arriba para motivarnos y seguir grabando este tipo de fenómenos.
A cabinet door drifted open on its own without anyone near it. Shortly after, a doll sitting on the counter toppled to the ground, as though shoved by something that couldn't be seen. But the most haunting detail came next. As Sergio kept the camera rolling, faint paw prints began materializing across the floor, appearing one at a time as if an invisible creature were slowly making its way through the room. No animal was visible anywhere. Shaken to his core, Sergio stepped back, completely at a loss for what he was seeing. Paranormal investigators who examined the footage later offered a chilling interpretation, suggesting it pointed to the presence of an animal spirit, most likely a ghostly dog. In their assessment, animal entities tend to be even more stubborn to dislodge than human spirits, often staying bound to a place out of devotion or some unresolved connection. For Sergio, this wasn't just a terrifying experience, it felt deeply intimate. And if that spirit really was a dog, what it wanted may never be known. A comparable unsettling clip was posted to a Facebook account going by the name Gwendolyn Crawford. Here we see a young girl playing on the floor who suddenly drops in an odd manner, almost as though some unseen force knocked her sideways. When I dug deeper into this footage, however, the child's mother came forward and explained that something sharp had apparently pierced the girl's left palm at that exact moment, throwing off her balance and causing her to fall. Whether that explanation tells the whole story is something only she can answer. Still, one thing is hard to deny. In both clips we just watched, something genuinely strange was happening around these kids. What's your take on all of this? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. In October 2024, Chris was driving home late at night and pulling into a spot outside his place. The house belonging to his neighbor across the street was completely consumed by darkness, save for a single doorway casting a faint, narrow glow. As he was lining up his car, something standing within that dim light caught his attention in a way that didn't sit right with him. He switched off the engine, pulled out his phone, and started recording the eerily quiet house.
When I saw this across my house.
Positioned at the edge of that lit doorway is a dark, human-shaped silhouette, only its upper outline distinguishable, while its face, body, and any identifying features are completely swallowed by shadow. The figure holds perfectly, unnervingly still, blending into the fence and the thick darkness surrounding the entrance. It's possible this is simply a neighbor lingering in their doorway, but more than a year later, Chris pointed his camera at that exact same window once more. He claimed this marked his fourth run-in with the figure, and this time it started moving. A rounded head and pair of shoulders repeatedly peer around the edge of the doorway, drifting into the light before retreating back into the dark. Chris calls out frantically from across the street and gets absolutely nothing back. At one moment, the figure suddenly jerks away with a speed that feels wrong, leaving Chris clearly rattled. Still, every motion happens just behind the doorframe, like something leaning out to get a look at him, before ducking back out of sight. 5 nights after that, Chris hit record again, by now having given this recurring presence a name, Tia Concha. That same shadowy form gradually rises alongside the doorway. Once more, its head and upper body briefly push into the light, before dissolving back into the blackness behind it. Since Chris filmed every one of these clips from the other side of the street, he never once crossed over to find out what, or who, was actually standing behind that doorframe. Skeptics will point out that a neighbor pulling a prank, or simply an unusual resident with odd habits, could account for the whole thing. So is the ghost of Tia Concha keeping a vigil in that doorway every time Chris comes home after dark, or is someone very much alive carefully crafting a creepy piece of internet folklore? Drop your thoughts below. Broken Wings. THRLL is an investigation group based out of Utah, bringing roughly 3 decades of combined experience to the table, and their focus is specifically on locations that carry a documented past. On this occasion, they're working inside what many regard as the most haunted structure in the entire state, the Hotel Milford. And this place comes with its own cast of characters. There's the lady in black, there's the janitor, and across the years, multiple witnesses have reported seeing the silhouettes of children moving through the building. The team spread cameras across the hotel, lined the corridors with motion sensors, and then did the one thing that consistently produces the most compelling results. They cleared out. Everyone went home, and the equipment kept rolling through the night. 3 moments came back on that footage that we think deserve your full attention.
Left for the night. On the 2nd floor landing, a light anomaly comes out of the room and tries to close the door as it exits. There are then audible footsteps captured and vibration detected on the EDI meter.
The hotel is completely vacant at this point, and keep your eyes on the doorway to the right of the frame, because a white anomaly emerges from it and drifts across the shot. Then the door to that very same room begins to swing shut, not from a slam, not snagged on anything, just a slow, gentle close, exactly the way a door moves when someone has just walked out of a room. And that's precisely what the audio suggests next, because footsteps become audible out in that hallway. Here's the detail that really sells this clip for us. Check the motion detection box in the screen's corner, because it fires at the exact instant those footsteps are heard. Whatever produced that sound had enough of a physical presence to actually trigger the sensor.
Later again on the 2nd floor, we capture a shadow that seems to move down the corridor. It can be seen on both cameras. As it gets to the stairs, it triggers the music box. We hear audible footsteps and capture vibration on the EDI meter. As whatever it is gets to the 3rd floor, it also triggers the music box on the 3rd floor.
Next up, a shadow figure making its way down the hallway in the direction of the stairs. What makes this one so hard to dismiss is that it's simultaneously captured on 2 separate cameras from 2 entirely different angles at the same moment in time. That eliminates nearly every conventional explanation you might reach for. It's not a lens artifact, it's not a reflection, and it's not a smudge on a sensor, because 2 independent cameras positioned in 2 different locations are picking up the same thing. As the figure moves toward the stairs, motion detection boxes activate in its path. Audible footsteps accompany its movement, but the story doesn't stop there. A few minutes on, a motion sensor trips on the 3rd floor, as though whatever this is has simply continued its walk through the building. And then, right after that 3rd floor sensor activates, there's a voice. It says, "Miss me?" It's a woman's voice, and in a building home to a spirit as well established as the lady in black, we'd call that a pretty loaded thing to hear. "20 minutes later, the staircase. A shadow figure materializes at the top of the steps, and it doesn't simply pass through the shot. It moves from right to left, nearly exits the stairwell altogether, and then reverses. It lingers at the top of the stairs before vanishing entirely. Now, Broken Wings have put forward the idea that this could be the janitor, and we gently suggest an alternative interpretation, because when we study the shape of it, what we're seeing is a figure with a narrow upper body that widens considerably below the waist. That silhouette reads as feminine to us, which would place a woman at the top of those stairs on the same night a woman's voice asked an empty third floor whether anyone had missed her. In 1986, the DuPont Plaza Hotel in Puerto Rico became the site of one of the island's most devastating disasters, when 3 disgruntled employees deliberately set a fire that claimed the lives of dozens of people. The chaos that followed was made even more deadly by a cruel design flaw. Many of the doors could only swing inward, leaving terrified guests with no way out. The building was eventually reconstructed and rebranded over the years, ultimately becoming the Marriott Stellaris Condado. Then in 2019, a security guard working a night shift at that very hotel captured something on camera that nobody could easily explain. And once word got out, the footage left everyone who saw it completely speechless. You can clearly see the guard's ponytail snap suddenly to one side, her head jerking along with it as though someone had grabbed her hair from behind. Her immediate reaction was to spin around, fully expecting to catch someone in the act, but the footage shows nobody there, not a single person nearby. Many who have watched this clip are convinced the answer lies somewhere beyond the physical world, perhaps a lingering presence, connected to the horror that unfolded in that very building back in 1986. Whether you believe this was a genuine paranormal encounter or think there's a more grounded explanation, that's entirely your call to make. This next clip comes from the account shown here on screen. The creator is a Filipino woman who posted a video that exploded in popularity almost as soon as it went up. Late one evening, she was at home relaxing with a book when her dog suddenly began behaving oddly. Just moments after that, she got the unsettling sensation that something, or someone, was right there with her. When she went back and checked her security footage, here's what the camera had recorded. You can see her dog start acting strangely, and then she suddenly leaps to her feet in a panic. At that exact instant, a bottle sitting on the table drops to the ground with no one anywhere near it. After she shared the clip online, her comments were absolutely flooded with people demanding answers, so she put together a follow-up video to address it all. And this is what she had to say.
Hi. So since the videos that I posted in TikTok went viral, I think I owe you guys some story time. So just to give you an overview, hindi ako matatakotin. And I can say that hindi din ako lapitin ng mga ganon. Whether that's maligno or an entity that's good or bad or whatnot, I really don't know kung sino sila, ano sila. But it was really my first time to encounter that kind of thing. Also, our house is actually covered with 3 CCTV cameras for our own protection. One here sa sala, one sa kwarto, and also dun sa labas. And a lot of you are asking if I was reading a Bible that time. No. I was actually reading this. I'm a fan of anything that is ancient. And I was reading this that time, and I was into it. Kaya talagang natakot ako when I encountered that kind of thing. A lot of you are also asking what was the whisper all about. I'm sorry, pero namali ako doon. It was not a whisper, but it was just a breathing. And yung hininga na ganon, ganito yung tunog niya, yung something that was breathing dito sa ears ko. And I was like, talaga na-startled ako when I encountered that kind of thing. Kaya bigla akong napatayo. And I didn't notice that the alcohol bottle was toppled down. Something actually touched it or moved it, that nahulog siya or what. So I only noticed it when I actually reviewed the CCTV camera because I wanted to figure out what happened. And when I zoomed it in, no, pagka-zoom ko, doon ko nakita that something actually touched the alcohol bottle, which is half empty. And imposible na hangin yung mag-touch doon. But if you guys are asking if takot ako or what, yes I am, but I'm still here. Kung saan nangyari yung ganun, no? And something is protecting me there. No? And that is where the alcohol bottle was placed, and then ganito lang siguro yung distance ng table. And if it was moved by me or by my dog, then it could have created like a scratching sound on the floor na maririnig din doon sa CCTV na yan. It's there. Okay? And here's my guardian angel. Now I'm not scared because I have this baby girl of mine that's actually protecting.
She described feeling the sensation of breath close to her face, which is what caused her to bolt upright so quickly. And right at that same moment, the bottle tipped over and hit the floor. She also noted that her dog's behavior throughout that night was completely out of character. Luckily, this turned out to be an isolated incident, and she hasn't shared any new updates since. So tell me, what do you think was actually going on here? A woman from the Philippines says she managed to record something supernatural on her phone. She was making her way down a crowded street in Matanao when out of nowhere she noticed something ahead that she simply couldn't make sense of. A man was crossing a bridge, but trailing right behind him was something that had no business being there. She could hardly process what she was seeing as she pulled out her phone and hit record. If you pay close attention, a dark, shadowy figure appears to be moving directly behind the man. He walks on completely unaware, and everyone else around him seems just as oblivious. This convinced the woman that her camera had picked up something from beyond the natural world, something that only she had been able to perceive in the moment. Worried she might just be imagining things, she posted the clip to social media only to find that her followers could see it too. A lot of them are convinced she filmed the Grim Reaper himself, trailing the man because his time was running out. So what's your take on this? Could this really be a paranormal encounter, just like the woman and her online audience believe? Early on the morning of November 3rd, 2023 in Pasco County, Florida, a woman by the name of Nicole McAuliffe walked into a Starbucks, took a seat right beside a total stranger, and launched into a conversation, not with him, and not with anyone physically present in that room. She was speaking to people who simply weren't there, carrying on a full exchange with a row of vacant chairs. Then something shifted. The calm evaporated and something far colder moved in. She began clearing shelves with her arms, hurling cups, and telling everyone around her that she intended to cause them harm.
Kill herself to who? Was that or her?
She was threatening to stab people. She was threatening harm to everybody in here. She was trying to fight. She was
off the counter, off the shelves, and
throwing our cup.
People scattered as she tore through the place, all while continuing her dialogue with nobody. The moment the first responding officer stepped inside, he already had her name ready, and he called it out the instant he laid eyes on her.
Come on, Nicole! Stop running!
Nicole was clearly no stranger to law enforcement, which makes it obvious this kind of episode wasn't new territory for her. And what comes next is the part that's genuinely difficult to let go of. The officer entered from one side of the building, and Nicole immediately fled through a door on the completely opposite end, well before he could have entered her field of vision. It was as though she sensed his arrival before there was any physical way she could have known. Once outside in the parking lot, she ran.
Nicole, get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
Don't touch me.
Nicole,
Don't touch
stop,
me.
Nicole.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Nicole, stop.
No. Stop. Yeah. Leave me the f alone. Leave me the f alone.
Get her to the ground.
Stop. I swear to God. I swear. swear. I fucking swear. I swear.
Not stumbling, not erratic, fast, with nothing in common with the woman who'd been unraveling on the floor just moments before. When officers finally got to her, it demanded everything each one of them had. She was kicking with enough force to knock grown adults off balance. She grabbed one officer's taser, then the taser was deployed. The first shot went wide.
Turn around! You about to get tased. Turn around.
Taser, no! Taser!
Taser, taser, taser! Get back!
Taser!
Roll over!
Ow, come on. Give me! Give me! Get away from me!
Roll over! Roll over! Roll over!
Get away!
Roll over! Do it now!
The second landed, sending a full current through her body, and she kept right on fighting. Pinned to the ground, officers on top of her, electricity running through her, and she would not quit. Then she said the thing that reframes the entire encounter. She told the officers without any hesitation that demons were inside her. Not that she was having a breakdown, not that she needed medical attention. Demons, plural. And according to her, they were the ones responsible for all of it.
Come on. Pulling it.
Tell the demons to stop.
Yeah, there, motherfucker. Down. Down.
Yeah, I blocked it right now.
Ow.
You need a hobble? Hey.
God.
Good job. Everybody.
You want to get into the picture side?
Now lay every detail side by side. The full conversations with invisible people, the threats, the inexplicable burst of speed, overpowering a group of officers, absorbing a taser without slowing down, and then, face down on the pavement, calmly identifying the exact force she believed had taken over her body. One of the officers said something in response that you will essentially never hear on a law enforcement recording. Exhausted, completely serious, he told her, "Tell the demons to stop. That isn't protocol. That isn't something they cover in any training manual. That is a man who has genuinely run out of anything else to try." It required handcuffs, leg restraints, and a face covering just to get her moved. And even after all of that, she still wasn't fully under control. When officers then turned to speak with a witness who had been sitting right there inside the store the whole time, the man suddenly wanted nothing to do with it.
The three guys couldn't even tackle her. I'm going to sign you guys up for the gym over there. Okay?
She's quick.
Well, she came in, she was a little bit out of control. She sat down next to me. She started talking to her friends, imaginary, her friends, and she just was ready to fight everybody in the place. And then she, as time went,
He began walking back everything he had already said. Whatever that man witnessed inside that Starbucks, he had no interest in having his name attached to any part of it. Bringing Nicole McAuliffe in that morning took every resource those officers could bring to bear, and it still felt like it almost wasn't enough. On March 24th, 2025, a security guard named Miguel found himself working the graveyard shift at an old, decommissioned primary school somewhere in Managua, Nicaragua. The building had been sitting empty for over a year, yet it still contained plenty of valuable property inside. The owner had plans to put the whole place up for sale. So in the meantime, Miguel was responsible for keeping watch through the night and taking care of 4 dogs that lived on the grounds. What makes the location even more unsettling is its history. Long before the school was ever built, the land served as a sanctuary during the Nicaraguan Civil War, and not far from where the building now stands, the bodies of fallen soldiers were reportedly burned. One night, while making his rounds, Miguel spotted something deeply unsettling inside one of the classrooms and managed to snap a photo. Peering out from behind a wall, there's a disturbing face staring directly in his direction. On a separate night, he decided to film himself walking through the building during his late shift, and that's when his camera picked up something that'll make your skin crawl.
Sí da miedo. De hecho, por aquí inicio porque por acá me queda cerca la torre de control. Si veo algo o me pasa algo acá, yo salgo corriendo a mi torre de control y ahí me enllavo. Pero como les seguía diciendo, este lugar es un...
A sinister face appears from behind a door, and then further down the hallway, another door swings open on its own. The following night would bring something that shook him far deeper than anything before. Pay close attention to what unfolds.
¿Qué es eso que se escucha? ¿Qué es eso que se escucha? Bueno. Hola, 100 puta. Hola, 100 puta.
A shadowy figure moves with alarming speed straight toward him along the second floor. Miguel was so rattled by the experience that he had to take several days away from the job just to recover. When he eventually returned, he resumed filming his walkthrough of the classrooms. And that's when this occurred.
La última aula que reviso en el rondín, como pueden ver, pues está un poco descuidada porque aquí han guardado las cosas que el colegio antes usaba. Escuché algo, pero no sé qué fue. Bueno, fue la 100 puta. Uy, fue la 100 puta. No joda. Ojalá que lo haya grabado.
A chair slides across the floor on its own directly behind him, sending Miguel sprinting to the opposite end of the building, refusing to go anywhere near that room again. But a few nights later, when he finally worked up the nerve to go back, the lights began to flicker the moment he stepped inside, and then his camera caught something that stopped him cold.
Tartamudo del asustado que estoy. Ahora mira cuando yo me alejo. Mira, ¿ya viste? Mira. Ahora mira cuando me acerco. Mira. Nada. Ahora mira ahorita que me...
Something or someone pounds hard against the window from outside. At that point, Miguel had genuinely reached his limit. He gathered all of his recorded footage, brought it straight to his employer, and insisted that another guard be assigned to work alongside him, so he would never have to face whatever was in that building alone. But whether any of this is truly paranormal or not, Now this next clip brings us to a backyard pool, where a mother and her daughter are spending some time together. The one behind the camera here is the mom. She was filming to show her sister the brand new lights that had just been put in the pool. With those lights installed, the family can now enjoy late-night swims out in their dark backyard. But after what this footage revealed, nighttime pool sessions may be off the table for a while. They've grown pretty reluctant to get in the water after dark, and it all comes down to what this clip picked up. Worth noting is that the mother had no idea anything unusual had been recorded until her sister actually watched the footage. Shortly after she sent the video over, she got a text back urging her to watch it again because, as it turned out, something had slipped right past her. See for yourself.
Change the colors.
You might be able to do it on the...
Oh, that looks so cool in there above too. Oh, that's so cool. That's weird.
Sent over simply to show off the new lighting, this is what ended up being captured instead. According to Lacey, the sister who first spotted it, nobody else was present at the pool, besides her niece and her sister, and yet something, or someone, passes directly in front of the little girl, without either of them seeming to notice. Neither the mother nor the daughter registered the figure in the moment. It only showed up on camera. Whatever it was remains unexplained, and honestly, the longer you study it, the stranger it gets. As Lacey herself points out, the shape appears translucent at certain moments, before seemingly becoming solid again. Shifting between see-through and opaque, it behaves in a way that's hard to rationalize. Just for some context, this is an actual photo of their pool. It's the very same one from the video, just shown here with a tarp over it. Even so, nothing about the pool's structure accounts for the shape that appears in the footage. If nobody and nothing else was there, what exactly was that? Lacey and her sister still don't have an answer, and in the meantime, this video has been keeping them both wide awake at night. As always, drop your thoughts on this one in the comments. Maggie Gans claims she's had more than a few unsettling experiences in her home.
Upstairs of my house, there's 2 rooms. Both of the doors open and close.
One afternoon, she was casually recording an adorable video of her cat Onyx when out of nowhere, something completely inexplicable unfolded. At the time, Maggie didn't pick up on anything unusual. She actually laughed it off, assuming her cat was just doing what cats do. But when she went back and reviewed the footage, she noticed that Onyx's tail appeared to be sharply tugged by some unseen force. The clip spread across the internet fast, and to this day, nobody has been able to offer a solid explanation for what happened. But what do you think? He was standing at the kitchen sink doing the dishes when something absolutely terrifying unfolded. A man uploaded this footage to his TikTok page and it spread across the internet almost instantly. According to him, both he and his kids have grown too scared to set foot in the basement due to the unsettling and bone-chilling noises that seem to come from within it. His entire family is now living under a cloud of fear inside their own home. On this particular day, while he was at the sink, his dog suddenly erupted into relentless barking, completely out of character. With its gaze locked onto the basement door, the man grabbed his phone and hit record. What happened next is something else entirely. Here's the footage.
Go lie down. It's okay. Lie down. Stay. I've been doing this all morning and I don't have time for this today. Stop. Hey buddy. I got too much going on. You gotta cut it out. Okay. Just gonna set it up with the towels and we'll just let the phone roll. I asked you if you gotta go or you gotta come downstairs or something. Wherever you're gonna go, you gotta go. Calm down. He's okay. Please. Not today. Just little bunny.
The basement door began swinging open on its own repeatedly in a deeply unsettling manner. But what made it even more disturbing was the shadowy, semi-transparent figure that appeared on the basement staircase. It seemed to be ascending the stairs, as though it was trying to push its way out into the house. A moment later, it disappeared in an instant as the man moved closer, only to show up a second time. Van hadn't actually noticed the figure while it was happening. It was only when he went back and reviewed the recording that he spotted it, and the discovery left him completely shaken. He's now convinced the basement is haunted, and his biggest fear is that whatever this entity is, it could one day make its way upstairs and take hold of the entire house. So what do you make of it? Baby monitors are supposed to give parents peace of mind, and millions of households rely on them every single day. But for one mother living in the United States, it was her baby monitor that revealed something deeply unsettling unfolding inside her daughter's room. By her account, it all started on what appeared to be a completely normal afternoon. She had stepped away for just a minute to bring some laundry downstairs, leaving her daughter safely in the playpen. But when she came back, something immediately stopped her in her tracks. Her daughter was holding an object that had no business being in her hands. The mother was certain she had seen that very same object sitting on the opposite side of the room before she left, making it physically impossible for the little girl to have retrieved it herself. That was enough to prompt her to pull up the camera footage, and what she found on that recording genuinely shook her. In the video, the toddler is sitting calmly watching TV when she suddenly shifts her gaze towards something completely off-screen. Within seconds, she starts blowing kisses in that direction, as though acknowledging someone standing just out of frame. Then the object appears inside the playpen, as if it had been gently thrown in from somewhere nearby. Understandably, the footage rattled the mother to her core. particularly given that no one else was supposed to be in the house that day, except the two of them. But that detail wasn't the only thing raising eyebrows. Toward the end of the clip, multiple viewers pointed out that a second object appears to shift on its own, this time on the outside of the playpen. It was the combination of all these moments together that prompted dozens of people to urge the mother to come forward and walk through the whole experience herself.
Okay, so this is my daughter's playpen that she was in when the bottle thing happened. So she was standing right here. The stem would have fallen about here. And as you can see, like directly in front of that on the other side is the toy bin where the bottle had landed. It landed about here. There's nothing around that the bottles could have come from, especially because like they landed straight down. So there's a little dresser, and then over there, in there is where the dressing room is, which is where the bottles were, where I put everything before I went downstairs to take everything out. So really no explanation.
Even after opening up about what happened, she says she's no closer to making sense of any of it. So who exactly was her daughter blowing those kisses toward? What caused that object to suddenly land inside the playpen? Was the second movement just a strange coincidence? Or could it be that something else entirely was sharing that room with them that day? Charmaine had been documenting a string of unsettling incidents inside her home and posting some of the footage online. As far as she was concerned, there was something fundamentally off about that apartment. But one particular recording captures a situation that unravels into something far beyond what she could have anticipated. It all unfolds in the dead of night. Charmaine is jolted awake by screaming coming from somewhere outside. At first, her response seems driven by nothing more than curiosity. She picks up her phone and heads toward the window, probably expecting to find a dispute, a passerby, or some other perfectly ordinary source of the noise. What she actually sees, though, doesn't fit any of those explanations.
I just woke up. I heard someone screaming outside my window. Oh my god. What? There's a guy out there and he's just staring out my window. What is he doing?
It's hard to say with any certainty what's going through Charmaine's mind at that moment. She stands there watching the figure for a few seconds without moving any closer, genuinely unable to make sense of what that person could be doing out there. Then things take an even stranger turn. While her focus is entirely fixed on what's happening outside, a sharp, loud bang erupts from somewhere inside the apartment and everything shifts. Charmaine follows the sound into the bedroom and moves toward the closet. At that instant, something comes tumbling out of it. It's possible it was just an item that had been sitting unstably and finally gave way. But given everything else that had already unfolded that night, Charmaine clearly isn't willing to see it that way. She decides to get out, and perhaps this is the most striking detail in the whole recording. Because even after fleeing the apartment and believing she'd put some distance between herself and whatever was going on, Charmaine glances back at the building and spots something that suggests the night was far from over.
Oh my god, I think there's something in my room. I don't know.
There appears to be movement inside the apartment. That realization leaves Charmaine confronting an even more alarming possibility. If that truly was a person, then maybe someone had slipped inside while she was distracted. Still, after some time passes, she makes the decision to go back in. What she finds does nothing to ease her fears. The apartment is in disarray. Things appear to have been shifted around, and various objects are strewn across the floor, creating the distinct impression that someone had been moving through the space while she was gone. At this point, the situation moves beyond simple fear and raises a far more serious question. Was Charmaine genuinely dealing with something supernatural, or had there been another person inside that apartment all along? She starts searching for anything that might give her an answer, and that's when she hears a voice.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Her reaction is instant. Charmaine spins toward the sound and comes face to face with the same figure that has appeared throughout this entire ordeal, only now it is far closer than before. There is no more investigating, no attempt to approach, no effort at a rational response. Charmaine simply runs. The footage cuts out shortly after, leaving the end of that night frustratingly unclear. It would be easy to assume the story wrapped up there, but that's not how Charmaine described what came next. In the days that followed, she resumed posting clips from the apartment, making it clear that the strange activity had not let up. And that's what makes this case so deeply unsettling, because whatever was happening that night, simply fleeing the apartment apparently wasn't enough to leave it behind. Deep in the night in El Paso, a married couple was sound asleep when the crash of breaking glass snapped them both awake. They rushed toward the kitchen and discovered their back door had been smashed apart, with an unknown man forcing his way through the wreckage. Police identified the intruder as 22-year-old Tristan Isaiah Billingsley. The couple's immediate reaction was straightforward. They demanded he get out. Instead, Billingsley reportedly stared them down and announced that the devil had taken hold of him. Whether that was something he genuinely believed or simply a tactic meant to terrorize the homeowners, nobody knows for certain. What unfolded from that point forward, though, left very little open to interpretation. When the husband moved to push the intruder back out the way he came, the situation erupted into a physical altercation. Blows were thrown as the brawl spilled out into the backyard, with the homeowner doing everything he could to keep the suspect away from his family while waiting for backup. Nearby neighbors had started taking notice of the chaos, and law enforcement arrived at the property shortly after. Officers stepped in before things could get any worse, and Billingsley was taken into custody on suspicion of burglary. This unsettling footage was accidentally recorded by a couple out riding their motorcycle late one night in July 2020. Everything about their trip appeared completely routine at first, until their camera picked up something unexpected on the right-hand side of the road. Standing motionless at the roadside was a woman, not moving a single inch, as though she were waiting on someone or something to arrive. Nobody knows how long she had been there, or what her reason for standing there was. Her presence alone was enough to spark a wave of theories. There are those who think she was simply a passerby who happened to be lingering at the edge of the road, while others felt her appearance carried something far too eerie to dismiss. Even now, her identity has never been explained, so...
Footsteps in front of me. But when I shine my flashlight, there's nothing.
A lone police officer makes his way down a dark, isolated road in Hawaii. Somewhere just ahead of him, he can hear footsteps. Steady, purposeful. He sweeps his flashlight across the road. Nothing, not a soul in sight. Yet the footsteps keep going, pulling him forward. So the officer follows.
I came across the lady on the roadway. She told me that her two daughters left the house to go play, but they never came home. So she asked if I can go look around.
2 young girls have gone missing somewhere in the thick wilderness of rural Oahu. Officer Reggie Manoha, a veteran with half a century on the force, has only minutes to locate them before the darkness makes that impossible. He leaves his patrol car running, headlights blazing behind him, and steps into the night, calling out for the girls. That's when he spotted someone near the tree line, close to an abandoned structure.
Up there, found that it was an old man. So I asked him, hey, Tata, you saw any 2 girls, small girls?
Standing in the middle of the road was an elderly Hawaiian man. Reggie called out to him. The man said nothing, just held his gaze. And right then, something shifted.
You saw the little girls, playing out over here? And
The temperature fell. The air went completely still. Something felt deeply off. But before Reggie could make sense of it, the old man slowly turned, raised a finger down the road, and without uttering a single word, pointed him into the dark.
So I started walking down the roadway, and I could hear footsteps in front of me. But when I shine my flashlight, there's nothing, but I could hear something. It was almost as if this footsteps was guiding me.
The footsteps came through crisp and deliberate, crunching along the gravel just ahead of him. But every time Reggie aimed his flashlight toward the sound, the beam revealed nothing, just an empty stretch of road fading into blackness. Still, the steps kept coming. Step, step, step. Always a little further ahead, always just beyond the reach of his light, drawing him onward.
there was a rustle in the bushes next to me, and I turned, and there was an opening in the bushes. If I wasn't out there looking for the girls, I wouldn't even think about going into this.
At first, it was only the footsteps, but then came the sound of rustling in the brush. Reggie swung his light toward it and spotted a gap, a narrow opening cut through the dense vegetation. He pushed through and kept moving.
Walked in. After I went through the California grass, it opened up into a patch of holly cords. So to continue further, I had to kind of...
Further ahead stood another abandoned structure. From the outside, it had the look of an old church, maybe a chapel, one Reggie had never known existed, slowly being consumed by the jungle around it. Then from somewhere inside, he heard whispering.
And I heard what I thought was whispering, human whispering. So I knew I had to go and check because, we're looking at two little girls here. So I went to the holly core, and I came to an opening in the holly core where it ended, and I found myself in the middle of a graveyard. And
there they were, playing on their great-grandfather's grave as though everything was perfectly fine, as if spending the night in a hidden cemetery was the most ordinary thing imaginable. Reggie gathered them up, a wave of relief washing over him. They were safe. He'd found them. The three of them made their way back through the grove, through the grass, and onto the dirt road. When they reached the exact spot where the old man had been standing, Reggie looked around. Nobody. The man who had shown him the way had vanished without a trace. Inside an automotive warehouse, a man was putting in a late night working on one of his personal projects. The space was quiet and still, just him, his tools, and the occasional clang of metal as he worked. Before calling it a night, he decided to shoot a quick update on camera, but what ended up getting recorded had absolutely nothing to do with cars or repairs. Mid-sentence, one of his heavy pieces of equipment shifts on its own. No contact, no explanation. The motion is gradual, but there's no denying it actually happened. The man stops dead in his tracks, visibly struggling to process what he just witnessed. Was it nothing more than a strange coincidence, or was something unseen occupying that warehouse alongside him that night? Chances are we'll never find out.